Start now. Alright, so, what's going on?
Yo, what's going on? Well, it's Sunday for a start.
Yep.
So it's pretty lazy. I got some nice buds, a nice cup of tea. But yeah, what a week, man. It's getting depressing each week, man. It's just getting more and more the build up.
Yeah. Although, I have to say, I think it's funny over here in the States, this whole Kavanaugh thing has kind of panned out exactly how I thought it was going to.
What, that was just the TV shows trying to get a riot going?
Well, but I thought it was them trying to basically rally Democrats' support, and it did the complete opposite. Where now in the polling, all of the Republicans are a lot more enthusiastic about midterms and are now like, we got to get out here and vote and beat these guys because God help us if how many beers you drank in high school is going to be the thing that stands between you and, your future.
There's two ways you can look at it. I mean, it was a TV show.
Yeah.
100% scripted. That woman's CIA. I should have listened to you more carefully last week about how this woman is actually connected to the CIA. She looks like a mild MK Ultra.
That's what she runs. She runs a mind control program where they work on implanting false memories for the CIA. She's a spook.
Well, she said it was a false memory, didn't she?
She said it was a recovered memory. But I mean, if she's in that type of program, it means that it
means someone fucked you up.
It basically means, if you've had something so traumatic happen, your mind will just sort of block it from forming, or from keeping it.
It's not a false memory then.
Well, yeah, you really can't. But yeah, so she said it was like a recovered memory from like a hypnotherapy thing or something. But that's why, what was I gonna say? That's the it's so bugged out. I remember what I was gonna say, because people were like, she's not a registered psychologist in California or wherever she's from, and it's like, yeah, of course she's not a registered psychologist because she's not practicing psychology. She's working at Stanford University for the CIA.
Stanford CIA, yeah. Because they're the ones who did the WikiLeaks email on Obama's party. That was a Stanford email.
Was it?
Yeah. CIA are laughing at Obama, aren't they? Going, haha, Obama's having enough party again. Check this out.
Yeah.
That's how I read the email anyway. But the thing is, so I think we both agree then that that's just like a stage show.
Oh yeah, it wasn't
for real.
Deep state psyop.
For all the TV. So that confuses me more, because there's two ways you could look at that as an end game. Number one, which I've not heard anyone talk about, I don't know much about this, but when I hear the words Kavanaugh, I think, what a fucking demon. He was in Skull and Bones with Bush, wasn't he? Isn't a photo, we got Bush in Skull and Bones photo. Isn't Kavanaugh in that photo? I'm not sure, but I think he is,
I don't know. I mean,
Kavanaugh 100% was in Skull and Bones, I know that much. If he was in Skull and Bones the same year as Bush, you'd have to check, but I think he was.
I'm trying to pull that up.
100% he was Skull and Bones. So if you're Skull and Bones, I'm guessing he goes to Bilderberg. No Skull and there's no... I mean, that's an open door to Bilderberg. So I don't know why this scumbag is in, really. I don't know why everyone's like... That's what I mean, that's the show, isn't it? Get that fucking piece of shit in. I don't understand why, no offence to you, Jamie, but why are you... do you know what I mean? You kind of got caught up in the celebration. This scumbag getting in.
I mean, well,
I'm surprised.
I don't even...
You want Kavanaugh there.
The thing is I know nothing about where he stands politically or anything like that. I just don't like the whole sort of show trial.
That's how I mean
that.
It worked, didn't it? You completely bypassed the shady...
I mean, I don't know what his...
He's the last person you want in there, I would have thought.
Well, I think it depends. Like, here's the whole thing. The Supreme Court has really been warped into something it was never intended to be. And I mean, that's mostly through the democratic liberal policies. Like they found a way to reinterpret the Constitution so that abortion is a constitutional right or whatever. They did the same thing. They couldn't get gay marriage passed, the Democrats, so they ended up having the Supreme Court put it through. The Democrats used the Supreme Court in a way that conservatives over here really don't. Like, they don't use it as a sort of activist branch. They actually, the right side of the aisle, uses it for what it's really intended to, which is to judge things on whether they're constitutional or not. So it's one of these weird situations where I think just my perspective of looking at it, I look at it the same way I look at the president. Like, and maybe I'm naive to do so, but I sort of judge these things off of what they're originally intended to do rather than this sort of perverse thing they've been mutated into. Because it's like, they're not supposed to be making law or deciding, that something can be that isn't. They're just supposed to be saying whether it's legal or not, and then precedent is set from there. I look at the president the same way. When everyone was freaking out about Donald Trump, like my whole response was basically, this is why the president is supposed to be the least powerful branch of government, because it's just one person. But the left has this tendency to want to funnel power into the smallest amount of people possible, where it's like, essentially, the way they look at things is they think the president is the most powerful, and then the Supreme Court sits above the president to most of them.
I think what you're looking at is what I warned America about before. I think when you look at these players, a lot of them belong to the Fabian Society. Remember, I brought that group up. You got to I keep telling you, fucking Americans, you got to keep your eye on the Fabian Society, because the Fabian Society is common purpose. That's how we got Tony Blair, David Cameron, and his paedophiles. This looks like change agents coming in. It looks like a common purpose job to me.
Apparently, Brett Kavanaugh. I'm reading an article here. I'm reading an article here on BuzzFeed News, and I'm going to go in and try to check more sources. But it says, the Yale secret society Brett Kavanaugh joined was mostly about drinking. Yale alumni says, no skull and bones. Brett Kavanaugh, President Trump's pick for Supreme Court, was in a secret society at Yale called Truth and Courage.
You're right. I missed getting that story wrong. I think he got offered into Skull and Bones, but he didn't take it.
Yeah.
He went into a different one.
The name was widely known to be a jab at Yale's older, more formal secret societies like the Bush's Skull and Bones, says Kristen Sherry, who attended in the early 80s, a few years before Kavanaugh.
Well, put this into Google. This is far more important. Ben Carson ties Kavanaugh allegation to centuries-old socialist group, and then Fabian Society. That's what he's talking about. So if you just type in Brett Kavanaugh Fabian Society, he is a member. So Fabian Society now, as I understand it, is Chatham House in London. And Chatham House fucked you guys over recently over some fake dossier. That's where the fake Trump dossier came from. Remember the peace scandal? That came out of Chatham. It's the Fabian Society. I'm not just saying that shock value. Chatham House is the Fabian Society. I think Sherry Blair runs it.
Yeah.
So that's Tony Blair's wife. So you reading this background that Brett Kavanaugh has in the Fabian Society? Modern day Fabian Society is common purpose.
Yeah.
I wonder if Brett Kavanaugh's part of common purpose or something. Should explain a lot.
Let's see. Carson linked Ford coming forward to a socialist plot. He babbled, if you really understand the big picture of what's going on here, then what's going on with Kavanaugh will make perfectly good sense to you. They've been people in this country for a very long time, going back to the Fabians, people who have wanted to fundamentally change this country.
Mm.
What happened? I mean, I don't see...
and then as soon as I read Fabian Society, I was like, just think of Fabian Society as being that book called Rules for Radicals. That's where that book came out of.
Yeah.
Lewinsky, I mean. Yeah.
But I mean, he's pretty. Everything Ben Carson's saying here is pretty much right, and it's crazy that the news is kind of trying to make him seem like off the rails for saying so. Like, there is a group that's wanted to fundamentally change America. Obama said it outright that we are going to fundamentally transform America, and this is what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, that would be like that's exactly what Frank Marshall Davis was about. And it reminds me of the Weather Underground in many ways, what you're seeing now.
Yeah.
State and
well, especially when you have these things where it's like you're having Republicans getting mailed rice in, and Scalise getting shot, and here's the thing that, like, I'll be the first one to say I've known for a while, the idea of the left-right paradigm, and that a lot of these players like Congress, these people, there aren't term limits. So, I mean, a lot of these scumbags were in there during the first Bush administration and, or the second Bush administration, Clinton, Obama, so on and so forth. But it's getting to a point where just having that R, that Republican R affiliated with your name, is putting them in a firing line that it's like, it really makes me, like, wonder, like, how controlled is some of this stuff, because you're rallying up nutcases in most of these circumstances. Like, right. you see some of these, like, wild SJW...
Which is the whole purpose of Starr Lewinsky, right, isn't it? And common purpose. So it's like, you need to act out for your authority, but the way you do that is by causing mayhem, by putting people in that will deliberately cause mayhem, and then the good people will give up and leave.
Yeah.
And to me, that sums up everything I saw from across the board, not just from the mainstream media, not just from the left, not just from the feminists, but also from people I respect, like just all the alternative media have got onto it, like even Alex Jones, even Crowder, even they're missing the fundamentals of this.
Yeah.
Which is that you are being played.
Well, and that's one of the things that, like...
both sides.
That's one of the things where it's like, I hate to say this, but, like, the timing of InfoWars being banned, it's really...
Well, we always said that was midterms, and I think this is part of midterm madness.
But it's like, I almost feel, and I think Alex Jones even realizes this, because I saw him doing the one broadcast, and he says that, he says, I completely missed the mark with this Christine Blasey Ford thing. He said, I heard Savage mention it, and Michael Savage is the only one that was on the money, where he just came out and he was like,
to him in a long time.
And he was like, he was the first one to really push that thing about her being CIA and working for that mind control program.
Yeah.
And that's why, they kept saying her social media is scrubbed. No, this Christine Blasey Ford, it wasn't scrubbed. It didn't exist. Like, that's the whole thing. They found a Facebook account for Paula Ford or something? Like, she's out here in the mainstream media under a complete fake name. She's a spook. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like, that's what we got in England. I probably keep ranting about this, but the biggest trend at the moment is, like, mummies for MI5.
Yeah.
The MI5 advertise on single mum blogs and go, do you want to be a special agent? Do you want to come fight for the government and be undercover and earn this money and be like a super mum, be a spy mum? And like, then they it's like a honeypot, isn't it? What else are you going to use a woman for? Sorry, women. What else are you going to be used for in Secret Service, really? Other than a little honeypot.
Yeah, or if you have a specialty skill.
Why else would you get a used Ford? I mean, come on.
Like this woman, though, unless you have a special...
Yeah, that's a good joke, Jamie.
Unless you have a
You miss all my good jokes.
I know.
It's a used Ford.
She pretty much is. It's really funny, though. I had thought at this point the other day...
That was funny, but you missed it.
The other woman that's made the allegation, Julie Swetnick. Now, she's the one with the allegation about, Devil's Triangle and, the gang rape parties and everything like that. But her ex-boyfriend came out and said, when I first met her, the first question she asked pretty much is, would I be interested in, like, threesomes and gangbangs? Because that was, like, her thing, like, having sex with multiple guys at once. And, I mean, her whole story is crazy. And when they interviewed her on it, she basically said, you know, I was at one of these parties with these gang rapes, and they're like, well, is Brett Kavanaugh a part of it? And she's like, well, I saw him standing near a punch bowl. And it's like, okay, so because he was in the vicinity, he must have been involved with this, if it even happened. But the point I wanted to make about her...
How dare you doubt her?
I know, believe all women.
What the fuck, man?
It's time to believe all women.
She's a woman. Respect women.
But the thing I was
Jamie,
thinking...
can you just show some respect? I mean,
I respect and I believe her. She really was gangbanged, and they really did run a train on her.
Where else would Brett Kavanaugh be? But the punch bowl, dude.
I don't know. Maybe raping. But Ann Coulter came out and was making jokes, being like, you know, I want to forever link this woman with the Democrat Party. Like, I want her talking on air 24/7, like, and everything like that. And I was thinking about where I was like, you know, to some extent, she really is the prototypical Democrat through her story. Like, you know, we've seen Candace Owens and even Donald Trump push this idea, like, especially with black Americans voting Democrat, where it's like their policies on abortion and welfare and everything like that keep them in poverty and in a bad situation, but they just keep coming back and voting for them and just keep coming back and voting.
This is interesting.
And it's like, that's like this woman talking about how she went to a party, there was a gang rape. She wasn't gang raped, but she went to the party again, and then again. And then, like, she kept going back to the gang rape parties until she got gang raped. And it's basically...
It wasn't a gang rape party, it's the standard skull and bones ceremony.
Well, I guess, probably. Although I thought although I was under the impression that some of the skull and bones ceremonies were kind of gayer. Like, they'd be gang raping each other, but... hey, they masturbate in coffins in front of each other.
You've got a sick mind, Jamie.
Have you ever seen that movie? Have you ever seen that movie about Skull and Bones?
You just must be disgusting. It doesn't exist, Jamie. This is all in your imagination, and you're twisted.
No,
You think there are people masturbating in coffins?
There was that movie. Was the movie called Skulls?
Oh, come on, Jamie.
It was who was it?
Next, you're going to tell me that they all meet up, wear robes, and worship some giant owl or something.
I know.
What is wrong?
Hold fake human sacrifices. Paul Walker was in that movie. You know, they thought he was sacrificed.
Well, he is. Is that the Fast and Furious?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, he is a paedophile on record.
Is he?
Yeah, his girlfriend was 13.
Ah.
What do you mean,
You
told me that a couple of times. Because you're twisted like that. Everything's about child molesting. It's about Satanism. It's about... But anyway, like I was saying, if we agreed at a stage, part one of the possibilities, there's only two possibilities. Part one is what I've just said, which I can't even remember now, which was... Oh yeah, that, you know, Brett Kavanaugh is a piece of shit. Second of all, the second point, which it could be, I think you'll like this option better, is that scumbags like Brett Kavanaugh will work for anyone. They don't care. They don't care who's in charge, as long as they've got their bit of the pie. So maybe Trump has got him on board, because as long as Trump's... I don't think he cares who the president is, or he hasn't got a team. Brett Kavanaugh's team is Team Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
So if that's the case...
Well, and that's one of the things, like, I mean, granted, like, when you're working at a law firm, your team is the firm, but, you know, he's been on, like, one of the court circuit of appeals, you know, one of these federal courts or something. So, yeah, I think at this point, like, Kavanaugh's on Team Kavanaugh. Like, he'll work for whoever. Like, again, the judging things is not supposed to be a very partisan type thing. This whole idea of activist judges is so dangerous. So dangerous. I mean, and it's...
So, but what I did see in hearings is I saw a lot of scared people. some really scared people. Pelosi looks scared. The Clintons look scared. All the people surrounded in these paedophile scandals are running scared. And you wonder that what I would expect if Trump has done the right thing, we will know, because I would expect mass arrests coming about these indictments.
Well, you know,
it's about the sealed indictment. It's either one or two. Either Brett Kavanaugh is a piece of shit and somehow he's wormed his way back in, or Trump knows it's a piece of shit. He's probably got indictments on Kavanaugh. Trump's probably got that on him already. And Trump needs him in there to get about the QAnon, about draining the swamp for real. And by the time these people actually face charges, they're going to be in jail for 10 years before they even get to the court. Like, these are serious charges. It's going to be 10 years before he gets to court, man. And it's going to be a mass roundup.
I mean, I think part of the thing, though, is I think we have an issue where, because you basically have this sort of Fabian socialist, I've said it before, like when Obama was president, and if you called him a socialist, they would say, well, you're only calling him a socialist because you can't call him a nigger. Like, they were basically trying to say it was a dog whistle racist attack, because the idea of there being a socialist in America was laughable. Then comes Bernie Sanders. Then comes Then comes Alexandria Ocasio, Santa Marina, Pina Cortez, and, the socialist thing is now full bore in politics and stuff. So it's like you have these people that are, like, such ideologues that they keep overplaying their hand. And I think even in the case of Trump, like, I didn't think Trump was that conservative, especially with his past and, being in New York, and he's very socially liberal. But then these conservative think tanks give him very conservative ratings on his policies and stuff. And it's almost like I feel like the attacks coming from the media and Hollywood and everywhere else, like, radicalizes these people. Like, a lot of conservatives have said Kavanaugh is very liberal as far as the way he judges and things. He's not very staunch. He's not a Scalia as far as that stuff goes. But I think when you're being attacked by that side, you have to take a second look at it. Like, even Owen Benjamin at this point, if you listen to him lately, he's damn near alt-right in some of his views, and he's even said that at a certain point, if the left
That's because he's a Jew.
He says if the left keeps growing this way, we're going, the alt-right way of dealing with things is going to be the only one that will work and be effective. But Owen Benjamin is always calling out shifty Jewish behavior. I don't know if you've seen his Instagram, but he's even called out the intellectual dark web and Sam Harris and Brett Weinstein and all of them, because those guys are the snakes in the grass. Vox Day even did a great piece on that, where there's been a big controversy now because Peterson came out and said if Kavanaugh's appointed, he should step down. And everyone's like, wait, what? You've been attacked with fake allegations and fake smears and all of this mob, mentality stuff.
But the thing with this argument, which I'm not getting, is, let's say Jordan Peterson doesn't like you can support Kavanaugh in that hearing, but still want him to stand down. They're two separate things. Saying you want someone to stand down isn't because you think he was guilty in any way. It could just be that you don't think it's going to be appropriate to have him there, full stop, really.
Why, though? Why? And here's the other thing, though.
I'm not saying, do you see the difference? I'm
no,
not saying he's wrong
but here's the other thing. But
Fox Day has merged it into one.
But here's the thing.
I think that's not fair.
It's
like what you need to do is you need to ask Jordan Peterson, why do you want him to?
Because the allegations. I mean, it's a whole Twitter thread between him and Brett Weinstein. It's not just a one-off remark.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's them going back and forth, talking about the allegations and all that, and saying that either way he should just step down. He's too polarizing or whatever. But
yeah, I would agree. I think that's true. I think you might be right there.
I agree with that too. Maybe. But here's the thing. Let's talk about the context.
But do you see how that's different? That's different.
But how is anyone? But how is anyone on the left going to view it? They're going to view it as a win. they're going to say that they won. They won that battle.
Yeah,
these are battles. So if these are battles, why would submitting and giving up? I mean, it would be like, think about in England, if you had a candidate, if you had
Tom. What you mean by submitting?
What if you had Tommy Robinson? What if you had Tommy Robinson running for office?
Depends what you mean by Tommy Robinson.
An allegation came out against him, and you had a whole bunch of Islamists come out and say,
depends what you mean by allegation.
He should step down. He's too polarizing. I know it does. It is, and it's obnoxious. It's infuriating.
Depends what you mean by obnoxious.
What do you mean by truth? I mean, there was one point on Joe Rogan's thing
about what you mean by truth,
where he tried to say
literal truth, but sometimes the other truth is more than the literal truth.
He tried to say that that seltzer wasn't water at one. Well, what do you mean by water? That was my favorite. It depends what you mean by water. Yeah, I was like,
it can be flowing, it can be iced.
I was like, this guy
evaporate. What do you mean water?
He may keep his room clean, but he is nuts. Yeah,
depends what you mean by nuts.
I'll tell you what, though, there was a debate with him, Sam Harris, and Douglas Murray moderating it. And Douglas Murray I really like, and I thought it was very interesting.
He's British.
There was one point where Douglas Murray made the point where he said, you know, there seems to be this phenomenon where where you have a lack of religion. The sort of vacuum takes place and a new religion will rise out of it. And Sam Harris goes, what are you talking about? And Douglas Murray was like taken back. He was like, what am I talking about? What have we been talking about for the past 2 or 3 years? This social justice, religious fervor. And Sam Harris just didn't get it. Like, he just couldn't, like, he lost the plot. It was... I mean, Sam Harris is another one of those people where he's not half as intelligent as people think he is.
I think it's more simple, and I'll tell you what's pissing me off. Is Jordan Peterson is great, but people are like making these people into rock stars, into idols, and just making them bigger than what they are. Everybody fucks up.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to have opinions that you don't agree with.
Well, now...
And then all of a sudden it's like, and then it becomes like this trade war to get views on YouTube, to get fuck you, just to like get subs and to get... It's like, why do you care that much?
And you know,
said that?
I agree. Really? I agree with that completely on that case. And
why do you even care what Jordan's political views are? He's not really there for. Like, he came about from doing these college lectures.
Yeah, and I would even say that. I would even say that he has intentionally avoided his political views. Now, he may have...
He might deliberately... He might... You're not going to like this, so go easy when you hear this. Okay, settle down, Jamie, when you hear this. Settle down over there. You've been talking about Fox Day a lot, and it came up on my YouTube feed yesterday, because of Ron Gibson pushes that now. So I hit the video which I think you saw, and that's the first time I paid attention to Fox Day, was him slamming Jordan Peterson. Fox Day didn't come across good in that video. I'm not judging Fox, I'm just saying that's the only video I've seen. I'm sure he is better, but based on that video, probably not a good one.
Yeah, well, I think it's one of these things where, like, he even makes the point, you know...
He did seem to be overreacting a lot over a very small issue, you know. He might have points on the others. And just saying how great he was, I thought he was a bit... The stuff he was accusing Jordan of, he was doing in that video.
Here's the reason I like Vox Day, is, you know, people were complaining about SJWs infiltrating comic books. Vox Day now publishes comic books with anti-SJW themes to them. People were complaining about the influence in video games. Vox Day is involved in video games. Like, he's actually in these markets where there are these ideological wars going on. He's not just commentating on it, he's in the midst of it. So, I mean, that's where it's like, he's not looking to be a thought leader, he's looking to be a comic book publisher, and looking to do video game scoring and music and stuff like he's more of an artist and a creator than a political, you know, leader and commentator and things like that. Like, he's the one that helped Milo set up his publishing company, because he's always done book publishing for as long as I've known about him. And he was
I can only judge him. I'm sure it's great. I'm just going by that one video. So I'm sure he is better, but that wasn't a good video.
But I do agree with his point, where he even made the point in that video, he said, where, you know, these guys are opposed to the sort of conservative right-wing worldview, and by conservatives doing all of these videos on Jordan Peterson, like, basically like what you were saying, turning them into idols and rock stars and everything like that, he said we're essentially building our opposition up by creating
like
by turning them into these
I don't
figures.
remember it being like this, but maybe it's because like it's so hard to be private now. Imagine when you had role models and idols back in the day. When we look at ours, you would see that because we didn't have the internet, you just had magazines and you had what was on the TV, and people didn't believe magazines or TV naturally, so people were very disconnected. But I think now everyone knows every single opinion you've got on everything. Everything's recorded now that you say. And like I said, I think it's just this mental illness of putting people up way too higher than what they actually are.
And that is my...
And the whole thing just blows up.
And I think you know, this is the point we were making earlier.
Everyone's looking for Jesus.
And
as soon as they make one, it's crucified.
I've always said that when, you know, in terms of the president, when the grab him by the pussy tape came out, I said, I'm not looking for Jesus in politics. Like, I'm not looking to put you know, a Jesus in the White House, basically.
And you hear that a lot in arguments when people argue about politics. They're going, well, you're just idealistic. You're looking for a utopian quality, and it's like,
well, and the left especially, and that's why I, you know, like I admitted earlier, I bypassed completely looking at Kavanaugh's politics and rulings and everything like that, because I immediately saw the left judging him on this. You're not a perfect person. You drank too much. Therefore, if you can't remember every second you were drunk, you might have raped someone. Like, I saw that sort of
raped an animal.
I saw them attacking him with that, you know, you're not perfect standard, which none of them are. And that's one of the biggest things that's always bothered me. Like, I'll see it all the time with, you know, people I'm friends with on Facebook, where they will talk.
We figured it out. That's it. That's what happened. Kavanaugh sold out to Trump. Trump said, come join the team. Kavanaugh goes, okay, you've got indictments on me. I'll come join the team. Fuck it. And then the Democrats went, you can't join Trump. You can't betray us. And he goes, I work for Team Kavanaugh. I'll do what the fuck I want. And then this is like just how crazy it got. That's what happened. I'm convinced now. That's it. Trump, Kavanaugh swapped teams, and that was the...
Yeah, it could have been. Or, I mean, I think they just need, you know, there's also the aspect of it
where... At least destroy him on the way out, because even if it's all fake, at least you destroyed him on the way out, to the point where I kind of agree, like, stand down, like you won, stand down.
There's that, but I think there's also, it could also just be even simpler than that, where I think part of it's also, again, you have these midterms coming up. The Democrats aren't offering anything. They don't have a platform still. And, you know, they can't, like, you know,
they do.
They're saying impeach Trump and all of this other nonsense.
Racist stuff. Yeah, they can drag that.
But that's not working anymore. It's really lost its, you know, we need a black kid to get shot by a cop in order to, like, get that fire burning again. But that's what I was going to say. It's like a fire that they just have to keep burning. They have to keep...
fire last night. I put money that riot, that could easily have triggered a riot last night. Easy.
I mean, I just think, you know, the Democrats are really screwed when, like, the things that really affect people's lives, you know, whether they're working or not, if they can, you know, afford the cost of living, like, really the only thing politically that I think affects people is the economy. First and foremost, all of the secondary stuff like transgender bathrooms and all of that is kind of secondary. And it's like they can't, you know, indict Trump over the economy. We're having 4% growth rates, and Obama said that was impossible. Like, but he's trying to take credit for it at the same time.
I didn't say that. I said he would get 4%.
You didn't build your business. everyone else did.
Built it. We're like, okie dokie dokie, I'm doing.
Yeah.
What do you mean we're doing all the okie dokies, huh?
It takes a village. I mean, that's the thing. Even the ones that aren't outright socialist still kind of push the socialist messaging, like Hillary Clinton. It takes a village. Like, it's this whole idea of you need the collectivism rather than just being
back to the village,
being a strong individual.
You can have your village idiot back.
Yeah.
Pay for the flight now. Give him a happy meal. Thanks, Obama. You're going back to Kenya.
How are things going?
Hang on. So I smoke weed, I lose track quite quickly. If we've quite finished with Kavanaugh, there's something else. It's gone. Yeah, I'm really surprised that didn't trigger. I think the idea was to trigger a riot, and it didn't trigger a giant riot. I think they wanted, like, just carnage.
Yeah.
But, that's what I wanted to ask, sorry. What I don't understand is how come, I do think what you're saying is right, but how do you get to the stage where the vote's that close, when it's that obvious has been set up? How is because there's only like 3 votes in it, wasn't there, or something? I'm not sure how the vote works, but close. How does it get that close?
I think it was because it was just kind of divided down the middle, basically, like, you know, with Congress and all that. Like, I think it was like 51-49 or something like that.
Guys are fucked up. And the other thing is, Lindsey Graham looks like a rock star now.
Yeah.
Lindsey Graham, give me a break, guys. Like,
yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Now you see why Brits just shout at the TV when it comes to America. So basically, you've managed to produce a cheerleader squad, an actual female cheerleading squad, out for Kavanaugh and Lindsey Graham.
Yeah, and Lindsey Graham I always considered to be part of the swamp, but I mean, that's another one of these things though, where it's like let me put it like this though, and this is what I was kind of alluding to when I was talking about Trump before. I think the swamp was fine, the two sides of the swamp, because even in Lindsey Graham's speech, he said, "You guys are friends of mine. Like, I know all of you." And I think it's as long as the gravy train was going and, you know, everything was, you know, one hand washes the other and everything like that. Like, the two sides used to be able to coexist, where Republicans would say, okay, we'll approve this spending bill if you give us, you know, funding for this. Like, it used to be a tit for tat, you know, we'll do this for you if you do this for us. But now there's just, like, deadlocked opposition. And I think in that way, it's almost making the swamp self-implode, where it's like it was
probably Jews that are behind it.
I think it's like you used to have like a sort of parasitic coexisting relationship, and now it's just at the point where now they're at odds with each other, and like the swamp is killing itself off in some regards.
What about that desperate attention-seeking skank, Amy Schumer? So she like, the cops go, "Do you want to be arrested?" And she goes, "Yes."
She's another one.
$50 and then she's gone. This had nothing to do with Kavanaugh. That was a photo op to put her own product. She used that to get press coverage. And I didn't give a shit about.
And I would even bet, you know.
Fuck, I hate that skank.
I know,
I hate it.
And I would even bet, you know, again, she's tied into the swamp. She's related to Schumer.
She's probably a Jew.
She's related to, was he New York's governor or a senator? She's related to Chuck Schumer.
Benjamin, he's right. It's just, you're better off just going down the Jew road. You really are.
And with her, I almost wonder, though, if this is part of her, like, I wonder if she's going to keep pursuing comedy, or if she's going to try to pull a Cynthia Nixon and try to run for office at some point.
Amy Schumer?
Yeah.
What are you...
It sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, because people are saying that, you know, the Democrats, in the 2020 election, that they think you're going to be far more likely to have, like, a Michael Avenatti character than a career politician or lawyer. Like, Democrats have always put forth lawyers and politicians, but they think it's going to be like a Trump-type person, like an Oprah, Michael Avenatti. I think Schumer at some point could, and maybe not, maybe because of, the things she said in comedy, there could be way too many things to get into to dig back up, but I don't know. It is a photo op for her, and to what ends though? That's what basically what I'm getting at. Like, a photo op for what? Like, just for vanity, maybe? Maybe. I just wonder what she was trying to, advertise or market. Maybe she has a new Netflix special coming up. Who knows? Or maybe it'll just be, material for her next routine or her next act.
Well, the other thing is Trump tweeted that for sure the people that were doing the elevator protesting were paid by George Soros and on fucking good salaries.
Yeah. Well, that we know. We can, the easiest way to tell that is looking at their signs and the professionalism of that. The other thing, too...
well acted. That was just, pretty good acting.
The other thing, too, is,
why won't you... It's like what you were doing, last week, you go, why won't you answer my question? What about the fit? Just this complete act. It's just like, this wasn't a real confrontation.
Yeah.
Why didn't you just hit him with your sign? That's what you meant to do.
The other thing, I wonder...
You could have just smacked him right in the face with your sign.
The other thing I wonder, and I wondered it even, one of the things people looked at about Sandy Hook that caught people's attention was at the end point, it all started to seem like a money laundering operation where there were tons of GoFundMes and charities set up and, money being diverted to fight the Second Amendment and all that. Christine Blasey Ford has made $1 million from GoFundMe as far as this, and then there was that envelope being passed off and everything like that. Like, I almost wonder if she is a CIA spook and all of that, if there would be a way to go after them over money laundering with things like that, where you're setting up these public crowdfunding things to then launder money into deep state operatives and stuff like that. Like, that can't be legal. Like, especially if she's being paid otherwise and, her claims aren't true. People get sued for GoFundMe things all the time where people will say, I have cancer, collect money, and then it turns out they don't have cancer and just try to keep the money. So I wonder if there's a legal route to go after people through that way.
Did you get two things? Did you get a text from Trump?
Yeah, the presidential alert thing.
He texted you. Trump actually sent you a text. What did he say?
Well, if you're on his mailing list, he texts you all the time.
Hi, Jamie. Great. Did he mention the podcast?
No. Well, no. They just, the presidential alert thing went out.
Actually, mate, you know what you've been hacked, you fucking muppet.
I don't know about that. It is the system.
Obama said it. About that.
All of the phones have backdoors in them. They don't need to hack them. They're built that way.
That's as soon as I saw that message went out, I went, "Oh, you've just been hacked." And then,
but I don't
tweeted straight away saying, "Yeah, all you people who got that alert, you've just been hacked by the Chinese. You fucking dumb fucks."
I don't think that the term hacking is.
Don't give me... It depends on what you mean by hacking. Why don't you go tidy your damn room?
But if it's built with that into it.
Fuck off.
Like, that's the thing. It's like, it's not hacking if it's built to do that. Like, hacking is, circumventing the technology.
That's still hacking means doing something that the product isn't meant to do.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. All the products are meant to do that at this point. Like, that's in the 1996 Telecommunications Act that Bill Clinton signed in. The back doors are built in.
Everyone. You got hacked, you fucking muppets. Because have you seen how big? If you type this into Zero Hedge, explosive report details China infiltration of Apple. They've got these chips that are the size of a rice grain, and they're pulling out of iPhones and stuff. So, yeah, you've definitely been hacked, guys.
Well, now that I'd believe. If you had a foreign manufacturer in China putting technology in the phones where the Chinese can backdoor into it if it's being sold in the U.S., I would definitely consider hacking.
Trump's going to get you into a FEMA camp
because that's a foreign government.
If it's not a hack, then the reason you've got it is because you're going to the FEMA camp. People that didn't get it aren't going to the FEMA camp.
I'm pretty sure everyone got it. I think because here's the reason though why I'll tell you that it doesn't really bother me that much because
going to a FEMA camp?
No, the alert thing, because I remember growing up as a kid, you'd be watching a TV show and then the TV show would be interrupted and it would be like, this is a message from the National Emergency Center. This is just a test. We're just, testing the... Like, your TV show... Every TV show would stop, and there would just be, like, a black screen on that would run some text, and there would be some tones. Boo, doo, boo. I think they even did them on radio. Like, and it's like... Are you still there? Hello? Where's Paul gone? Huh? I don't know, I'm still being shown bars. Oh. Let me pause this then.
It's probably the Jews.
Okay. What's funny is, just as I was saying the thing about there being the old TV things that would interrupt and you'd have a sort of test tone like a boop, boop, boop. Like, when Messenger cuts out, that's what you get. You get a boop, boop, boop. So, like, it was kind of like what I was describing just happened, like, as I was talking about it. But, yeah, the internet dropped out for a second. But, yeah, I don't know, the whole Messenger thing. I mean, I think it's... Like I can
tell it's your messenger because if I send you a message and you don't read it or it doesn't deliver, it's obviously you, not me.
Yeah.
That's my little test I do.
I just like part
of only a little app, so it's quite easy for it to drop out.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I just think, is it doing it again? What the fuck?
Welcome, part 2.
Hopefully on the other network it stays on.
Yeah, maybe I should just stop saying that word.
Maybe. But
that's probably what they're doing. They're sneaky.
Anyway, I was gonna ask what's going on as far as British politics.
Well, I've been seeing yet because you're experiencing it, fucks, with that kung fu anti-abortion Bruce Lee dude.
Oh man, and what's so funny about
this
that?
How it went down. You have to imagine how I look. Just imagine how I look right now. It went. This little girl goes, "Hey, I'm pro-life." What the fuck? What the fuck, madam? And just this. No. What about someone like red and then she's 16? She's like no. Well, it's still alive. Smack.
Yeah, with the tongue sticking out.
Yeah.
That guy is so fucking funny.
Is he? What are you looking at with those charges? He's got 8 charges. Is that quite serious?
Really?
Yeah, they've got 8 on him. The police have got him. And they've filed 8 charges.
And I know he got fired from his job too.
Is 8 charges quite a lot?
Yeah. I mean, it is, but that's because the way the police work, they sort of. It's like if they just had 2 charges against him.
These ones are legit.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say it's sort of like I told you about my friend who got busted with coke, and then they added on like resisting arrest, tampering with evidence, and what they do is basically.
Which is what you're meant to do.
And it's because.
Meant to tamper with evidence.
It's because you could plead one down to just a fine and everything like that, so they wanted to make sure that something sticks, and they can. Get this guy.
Then you go, can you fly a plane? You any good at flying planes? You ever wants to fly a plane?
But yeah, that guy.
Ever wants to be a pilot, sir? Ever wanted your own airfield? And a good job for the kids? A little bit of coke?
That was one of the funniest videos. Sargon of Akkad did a really funny video on it, and it's funny because he said he was going to stop doing content like that, but then these things happen, and it's just sort of too funny and too
told
easy.
him to stop.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think so. I think UKIP have. You're certainly so, matey. And I think he fought quite hard to say no, fuck you. I'm independent, I'm Sargon, and they went, you don't know shit, son. Quit doing that if you want to be with UKIP, because you can't do it. And I think that's what's happened. And he goes, but what about Paul Jason Watson? And it's like, well, Watson isn't going to join. I think Watson's going to be a silent weapon.
Yeah.
Watson's just going to do what he does, naturally. I don't think Watson needs to join this team. And they can't have Watson join the team because, first of all, Watson won't join. I don't know him that well, but I can't see him joining anything.
No, I can't either. That's the thing. I would even say
Watson's Kavanaugh.
And you know what the other thing, because I was going to say, even though Paul Joseph Watson, for as long as I can remember him, has always been a part of InfoWars, if you've ever heard him or Alex talk about how they work, they seem to even work very independently from each other.
Yeah. Watson. That's why it's on InfoWars, because Alex allows that freedom. That's why Watson's on there. It's just because Watson can be Watson. He doesn't give a shit about info. Well, he does obviously give a shit, but you know what I mean.
But Alex just lets him do what he's doing,
So there's lots of people going, why is Sargon listening? Paul James Watson still doing the same thing? It's because Watson isn't going to sign up to shit, bro.
Yeah. I mean, Watson may say, UKIP's the only party fighting against this, and that. But
Watson's more intelligent than that. He can still fight UKIP and not join UKIP.
Yeah.
Him joining will only be detrimental. A lot of people won't relate to Watson because he's a dick. If you get what I mean? To some degree, Watson's a dick.
Yeah.
It's just his video style and the way he talks. Like, he's easy, don't get me wrong, it's hard to explain. Like, he comes across as a dick to a lot of people, even though to me it's not. But I can imagine most people can't. It's not really good on the palate. And it's just his video editing style, because I think he just rants into a camera over and over till he gets it right. And by the time you see what he's done, he's like said that about 1 million times.
Oh yeah, it comes across very snide and condescending.
Yeah, I think that's just his style of
editing. I mean, and even I saw one of his...
It's not actually like that, but he comes across...
I even saw his latest videos all about how, love is irrational and, all this other stuff.
Imagine my shock.
And it's like, it is, but, and it's not like he was saying anything that was factually incorrect, but it's like, okay, but what is the number one enemy of, things like Hollywood and everything like that? Well, that's what I thought. I was like, oh, he must be going through some heartbreak or something. But they're the left and the socialists and all that. It's always an attack on the family, and that's what the family is.
Did he get married to a Chinese spy?
Maybe.
You don't know about that.
I mean, I know he was married to a Chinese woman. I didn't know if she was a spy or not.
Yeah,
maybe.
He was married. Not married anymore, is he?
I didn't know that. So I mean that makes sense.
He married a fucking... I hope he doesn't mind me saying, but yeah, I think everyone knows anyway. Well, I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure Watson married. It's not. Is it funny? It kind of is funny. It is kind of funny. I met her, man.
Yeah.
Chinese. She never spoke. Not once. The lady did not speak. Might have been a robot,
Maybe. I know the Chinese are pretty advanced with their cybernetics.
Seriously, not one word. And it's like one of those taboo kind of moments. It's like, it's really weird, but no one says anything. You get what I mean? It's like a giant elephant in the room, everyone's like that. And for a while you just think, okay, it's probably just a culture. But after 4 days, it's like, how are you married? Shouldn't speak.
I was gonna say I've seen a lot of
Tommy Watson would be like, she does speak. It's like we're not like exaggerating. Like it's like she doesn't talk often. It's like she's never spoken, like ever. Like, you sure she's not a spy, dude? Ah, that's why Watson. I think he was dating some hot blonde chick, wasn't he? For a while.
Maybe.
So that's what that video probably is. I think he just got dumped, dude.
I was gonna say, I want to segue into other, Tommy Robinson. I've been seeing him on the news a lot lately.
Baby in society, mate. Common purpose, change agent.
Yeah.
It's a Kavanaugh in the pudding.
I mean, it's, what was I gonna say? I saw one thing where, he was debating on one of these British. Oh, I saw the big Sky News thing. That's what I was going to say. Where they were talking about there. Now there's the thing. It was interesting because he secretly recorded the interview.
He didn't secretly record it, did he?
Yeah,
He was pretty open about recording it, wasn't he?
No, I think he had one of his people stand off to the side because the audio was complete shit on it. I mean, I was having to adjust the TV between his footage and then him talking just into his camera. Like, the audio was awful.
Well, that's pretty poor from Sky News' behalf. Like, surely, like, Tommy live streams everything.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he does. So that's
they should have known. They should have known.
MO. That's Tommy's whole MO, right? That's the whole story. Was he was live streaming? I mean, how do you miss that?
Yeah.
Come on.
But they
Sky News. Come on.
They had.
Come on. If you wanted to set Tommy Robinson up, you work for Sky News, right? And he came into the studio, not like have your eyes open, seeing who was recording. Come on.
They had this one part, though, where they're talking about how in one of these other countries, like the Netherlands or something like that, they put out an informational video about sex trafficking for little girls to be aware of the signs and everything like that. And I thought it was interesting, even in my local area, sex trafficking is, like, on the rise. Like, our local city just did a whole presentation to the city with a video where a girl was talking, and they didn't use the term, but I completely understand now why you guys use the term grooming gang, because this girl was talking about how she was approached by someone, they said they wanted her to do modeling and all this stuff. They had her fill out a W-9 form, which is a tax form for job employment, and from that tax form they got her address, her parents' info, and all of, like, the personal details to then be used to blackmail her. But they completely described the grooming gang activities. Anyway, Tommy Robinson's talking to Sky News about how in one of these countries they put out this informational video, and the reporter says, well, what about, if it incites fear into the Muslims? And Tommy Robinson says outright, I don't care if it incites fear, if it educates them. Now, Sky News then turns the headline into, Tommy Robinson says, I don't care if I incite fear in Muslims. They completely change the context and turn him saying, I don't care it being the video, into I don't care if I, as if Tommy Robinson was talking about himself, incite fear into Muslims. And then every other news source, RT and, BBC and everywhere else, then went with the Tommy Robinson quote, I don't care if I incite. Like, it was wild seeing how it just sort of, like, fake news and then it just spreads.
Well, there's something that's not been spoken about. Do you know who John Cleese is?
No.
John Cleese is one of the Monty Python dudes, the tall dude. He does the Hitler walk.
Okay.
He does the Academy of Funny Walks. So have you ever watched Monty Python before? Like
yeah.
Life of Brian, and he also did Fawlty Towers. So this is like British comedian of British comedian. He's fled England. And the reason when he asks, like, why did you flee England? He said, because when Europe was asked, how much do you trust, each European country was asked, how much do you trust your media? England came out last. And it's been like that 5 years running.
Yeah.
So the one I'm trying to say is like, it's not really a big deal. Like I know, like for me to hear you get excited about that, it's like really weird because they do that to Tommy Robinson on a daily basis. It's like
Yeah.
it's just so the norm now. Like everyone kind of expects it.
Yeah, well, I just
It's like
think it
really,
was interesting
yeah,
being
it's so
able to
sad.
see
Yeah.
how him showing the clip of what he actually said and there being a context to it, and
Oh no,
even
this is like normal
even
practice
in
now.
Sky News in their transcript, they had exactly what he said, that they were talking about a video and everything. So they really just ran a fake quote as the headline of it that wasn't in the full interview. And now the other thing that was interesting is after they got him saying that, you could see the guy in his earpiece being like, okay, is this what we're going to end on? Like, once they got that soundbite, someone was telling the reporter, all right, wrap it up, we got what we wanted.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh shit, man.
Yeah, so seeing that kind of behind the scenes bit where it's like once he
Yeah,
hit
I
that
saw them do
point.
that firsthand to Alex Jones. Like, oh, you for that was the most fascinating thing being with Alex Jones for 4 days. I saw that repeatedly from BBC. Like, he's not joking. Yeah, we saw that all the time. Like, they even admitted it. The BBC reporter admitted it to Alex because Alex started having a go at this BBC reporter,
Uh-huh.
and she was going, "Why are you getting so heavy for me? Like, I'm just trying to get a soundbite from you. You know that." And he went, "Yeah, exactly. That was." So yeah, to hear the report actually, I think that's on YouTube as well. Someone videoed that too on their phone, and it's on YouTube. If you want to check that out, BBC report even like admitted to Alex Jones' face, like, "Yeah, I'm just trying to get a soundbite of you ranting crazy." And it's like, and then he goes, "Madam, what is that behind you?" And it's like, it's the build, it's like a Watford hotel. It's like, it's got a fucking no-fly zone around it, lady. It's got a freaking wall around it. You got CIA here, FBI here. You got helicopters here. You got a no-fly zone, and you're trying to get a soundbite out of me, lady. What are you? Why don't you do the job of your existence is there in that hotel, not me? It's crazy.
Yeah. I've always thought it's ridiculous how the news media kind of like acknowledges things like Bilderberg nowadays, but kind of doesn't in the same breath. Where they're like, oh yeah, it's just all the most powerful, most influential people getting together in a secret meeting with no fly zones and everything like that, and not letting you really know who's going there and everything. But I mean, well, now they kind of put agendas and rosters out, but then they still downplay like what's actually going on there.
I'm a bit of a dick when it comes to Bilderberg. I don't know how to explain. Like, I think that's where I lose a lot of my friendships.
In fact, now that I think about it, though,
this happens a lot.
Wasn't text censorship like the big talking point thing of their last meeting?
Yeah, it was fake. One aspect was fake news. And
Yeah.
The other one, and then they had another one which was about. Which have they only had like 10 agendas on there. Yeah, but I feel like a lot of people, like when I do sort of like management jobs and stuff, people talk about politics as you do. So I remember I'll give you two examples. One example was with the finance director. We got on really well, and he used to take time off to watch the budget. It's just bunking, but you get what I mean. He would come back and go, "What do you think of the budget? What do you think of the budget?" And then I'd ask him, I'd go, "I've got one question if you don't mind." He'd go, what's your question, Paul? I was going, "The guy who does the budget's George Osborne. George Osborne was in Bilderberg 2 weeks ago. What do you think of Bilderberg?" And he goes, "What's Bilderberg?" And I was like, "You don't know anything about economics." And they get really, and then the relationship falls out because I find it hard to respect someone that think that their specialist subject is the economics. Like they would say that, like I watch. Do you know what I mean? I watch the whole budget like it's a yearly thing, and then you tell me you've never heard of Bilderberg.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, dude. And the reason I do it is because they always take the piss out of me. Like I take it on board. I don't mind it. I kind of like playful, take a piss about how I am a conspiracy theorist, and I don't mind people taking piss out of that. But it falls out when I say you need to look at Bilderberg, and then they go, "Oh, is that a conspiracy?" And it's like, dude, seriously, stop embarrassing yourself and just put it into Google. And you try and explain what it is, they won't believe you. And then when they actually look, they go, oh. And it's like, yeah, you don't know shit, bro. That's what I'm trying to say. It's hard to respect anyone's political view if they've never heard of Bilderberg.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this other guy at my old job, he was spilling off about this politician. He's going, this politician that, this politician this. I was going, what do you think about him attending Bilderberg every year? And they go, what's Bilderberg? It's like, I can't respect anything you ever say again on politics.
Well, it's almost like if someone were to try to talk...
Bilderberg is the most important part of all art.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like if someone were to try to talk to you about, you know, American or British law, and they have no understanding or concept of the Constitution or Magna Carta, and it's like, this is foundational at this point.
And they've been doing it for 30 years.
Yeah. Like, in order to understand politics in this day and age, you need to be able to understand the CFR, Bilderberg, the United Nations.
The reason why I called them, I get offended, is they laugh at me at first. And like 9/11's an inside job. I'm like, no, you need to put Bilderberg into. Like, why are you being? You've got Google right at your thing. Like, we're at work, dude. You got Google right there. Put in Bilderberg.
Yeah.
George Osborne. See what comes up. Put in Ed
you know it was really aggravating. Speaking of 9/11 being an inside job, I have a CRTV subscription now, so I was watching some of the shows on there, and you had this guy Eric Bolling, who used to be on Fox, I think, who has a show on there, and he did an interview with Alex Jones, and he basically was like, you know, I'm going to hold Alex Jones's feet to the fire as far as
you can't interview Alex Jones.
Huh?
You can't. Alex Jones. How do you interview Alex Jones? He just shouts.
Well, and that
controlling that dude.
And that was the thing, though, is Bowling's kind of a big personality too, so it really was just a screaming match between the two. And Alex Jones, and he kept just trying to be like, Alex Jones, you've said
Infowars.com!
You've said the government, you know, 9/11, blah blah blah. And Alex Jones did his thing. He said,
"Listen, they're in the vaccines."
He says,
Infowars.com.
Jones does his, you know, usual.
You want to shut me down, Infowars.
He does
it go like that.
No, well, he was talking about 9/11, and he was like, no, I'm just saying, you know, corrupt elements in our government, the 23 pages, Building 7, like, he hits all the points, and Eric Bolling just goes, yeah, but people died. People died. Our government wouldn't kill its own people, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, I'm saying corrupt elements within the, you know, like, and first of all, yes, our government has a history of killing and fucking over people. MK Ultra, the Tuskegee experiments, like, it goes so on and so forth as far as the government doing fucked up shit to its own people. 9/11's a drop in the bucket as far as global population. And I had family members that were supposed to be there that day, so I don't say that lightly, but it's the reality of the situation. You think George Bush gives a damn as far as anyone that died at 9/11? Anyone who was important was told not to be there that day. Michael Jackson came out and said he got a phone call telling him not to go to his meeting that day. All the Jews mysteriously didn't go to work that day. And, I mean, there's so much shady stuff about 9/11.
The Jews were behind 9/11 to quite a degree.
Parts of Mossad was in on it, and with Saudi Arabia and stuff. And it just is what it is at that point. And it's like
I said before, it's multiple elements that are allowed to do it. And then you have the drills running, and it's just mass confusion. You create the
order out of chaos.
You can't just have one group doing it, because then the mystery gets solved. But when you get groups doing
exactly,
that creates diffractions. Then the gets broken up.
And like I've said before,
it's gone. The truth movement used to be so big, and now I think if you went to the 9/11 site now, I think there'd be one guy handing out leaflets.
Well, and that's kind of like one of the things I've always said as far as
people there, I'd imagine, all the time.
As far as the running of the multiple narratives, you know, like again the Sandy Hook thing. You have the one guy running in the woods. You have guns that you're told were used being pulled out of the trunk.
Your own green screen, then you throw in your fake.
So it's like you get all of these different narratives. Then everyone will argue over which one's the true one, which one's important. 9/11, was it the Jews? Was it the Saudis? Was it Skull and Bones? Was it? And it's like, well, it's probably.
None of them are mutually exclusive.
Exactly. And that's where people go astray when they start to think, you know, they've got the theory And it's probably like a whole bunch of little bits, and like you said, corrupt elements within Mossad, within the Saudis, within our own government.
Mossad is America. Hello. Israel is America. America is Israel. They're the same fucking thing.
Pretty much on a lot of levels. Except Israel apparently isn't as big a fan of Soros as we are.
I think America, like Israel, I don't know about the religious element, like that's another podcast. But just to test their weaponry and stuff, test their new radars, test their new 5G technology, test this surveillance, test this, and just have it nicely in lockdown. It's like always under lockdown, that place. To America go, yeah, Lockheed Martin love testing shit, right?
Yeah.
Testing ground. There's so much behind it, like the same with Israel. It's not just the Jews. There's so many fractions in that.
Yeah. But I mean, Bowling just basically for, Sandy Hook and 9/11, he just basically did this whole, but people died. What about the victims? Think about the victims. People died, and it's like, yeah, and that's even more of a reason.
Well, they to the victims to ask questions, because they're dead and they can't.
Yeah, and you had organizations of the victims that were pushing for, you had the whole thing, like the organization of architects and engineers for 9/11
so why
Truth.
Do an autopsy on a body?
Right? Yeah. Think about the victim.
Why bother? Yeah, think about the victim.
You don't need to know what happened. You just need to know they're dead, and it's awful. Feel bad about it.
And the fact that you even want one is just so disrespectful to everybody. It's disrespectful to the family. It's disrespectful. How can you cut up a dead body, dude? Jamie, why are you suggesting that we cut open a dead body to find out what happened? Like, what sort of sicko are you? Seriously, man.
Yeah.
They're dead, accept it. Yeah, the world's getting crazy. But you were going to ask, like, what's going on in Europe, right?
Yeah.
Whew. I think when you have diversity this close, you're asking for a war. So I'll just do it, because we've been going for a while, so I'll keep it as quick. Oh, nice. Someone's got some nice weed. Right. So yes, I'd run for as quick as I can. Yesterday, a cyclist shot in Liverpool. Friday, 3 cops were knifed.
Wow.
Every single day, there's a stabbing. In Belgium, a car tried to wipe out. Well, it did wipe out 5 people. Knifeman attacks elderly couple. Denmark was on lockdown. Apparently, it was on lockdown for 4 days. Everything, bridges, trains, the whole lot, because someone stole a Volvo and was smoking a joint. Yeah, right. So that caused the whole lockdown. Someone was stabbed outside of Parliament. A machete brawl happened. I think that was in Bristol. It's not far from me. That's not a big city. Birmingham's had a few knife fights. Had quite a few schools on lockdown for knife rioting. For a school to go on lockdown in the UK is rare. And Paris, you just get regular videos of people walking around Paris with machetes. It's pretty commonplace this week. This is just this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
lots
nuts.
Of Germans, I can't remember these articles, they're in German, but basically, oh yeah, a guy in Germany rescued his daughter from a rape gang, beat the shit out of the rape gang, so now he's going to jail. Oh, yeah, this is common now. You know when people jump on the metro in London to go to work?
Yeah.
There's usually a machete attack daily.
Wow. That's nuts.
So, every day on the metro someone gets murdered.
That's like what I hear Mexico's like.
This is just this week.
And it was interesting in that...
Hang on, I haven't got to the bottom yet. We're only on... I'm going backwards. We're at Wednesday, I think. This is Wednesday. 2-week-old baby clinging on to life after being raped. Man charged. Draw your own conclusions. Who might have done that? Anything else? Just there's lots of like WorldStar, Hipstar, and there's WorldStar whatever videos. Getting a lot of those kind of things from like London.
Yeah.
Black kids are just trolling grannies and stuff. terror as Leicester was on lockdown after armed police were run over. Someone run over armed police in Leicester. So God knows why you had armed police there in the first place. And not only were they there in the first place, they got hit by a car. So that isn't a great start. Usually by 10 o'clock there's been a stabbing on the London train. A London bloodbath, 15-year-old stabbed repeatedly in North London. We're nearly getting to Monday. I don't know if I can go any further. I think you get the idea.
Yeah, it sounds like a war zone over there. And you know, that's kind of what you were saying earlier, is like, what is it going to result in besides war at
No
this
one
rate?
cares. I'm the only person that ever talks about it. I've never heard anyone else. A massive machete brought outside McDonald's in Birmingham. That was pretty bad. A few kids got stabbed up there.
I was going to say, in one of the Tommy Robinson interviews I caught, is he was talking about the Sharia, not Sharia courts, but basically basically the idea, I forget the term exactly, but that there are Sharia law zones and Sharia being enforced, like, you know...
Yeah, that's been going on for maybe 5 years
throughout
now.
England. All of these people, like how you were saying in the video, they denied it. They tried to say it isn't, and all I could think of is the case I saw where you had, like, a 17-year-old boy or something rape, like, a 12-year-old girl, and the judge...
No, actually, that's been going on longer. I don't know if I should confess this. Everyone's done this. We used to get that when I used to live in Reading.
Uh-huh.
We used to get dirty Muslims trying to rule the road. So we would go down there, a group of us, and just have, like, a race war on the street.
Mm-hmm.
That used to happen all the time on my road, especially my road. There used to be a lot of... Muslims would like want to fuck people over, so then groups of white people would go and sort them out.
Well, I was going to say, I remember...
And that was 2004, man.
I remember seeing a court case where it was like a older Muslim teenager, like, raped, like, a 12-year-old British girl, and the judge let him off, and the judge said, you know, he's been taught women have no value.
Yeah.
So I can't, you know... I can't sentence him or anything like that. Like, basically, like, I'm just going to let his culture override our laws.
It's not about that. It's about, in China, they're again attacking Christians. If you're a Christian in China at the moment, you're done.
Yeah.
Christians have been completely wiped out in Syria. It was a genocide of Christians. Libya was a genocide of Christians. Christians are the most persecuted people in the world. I think we're seeing the apocalypse. I mean, they just put that statue of Baal up in Washington, D.C. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
James, you know the statue of Baal, which the ISIS blew up in Syria?
Yeah.
Took it to London, and they put it outside the Washington Monument thing, and that thing's 666 foot tall or whatever, and it's like 666 foot away from this other monument. It's like, fuck off, man. Like, I don't understand. That's why I'm so terrified. Like, no one talks about it, man.
Yeah.
It's so obvious that we're going to get slaughtered. I feel like a Jew in Schindler's List, I really do. And I was talking to my mum about that because my birthday's coming up, so we went out for like a beer. And when we went out, like, we had to sit in the corner. And I was like going, this is like being a Jew. Why are we sat in the corner? And she's going, well, so we can talk. It's like, yeah, that's my point. This is like a speakeasy. It's like we're in Prohibition times. But the Prohibition's like talking. See it of Owen Benjamin, like, or when you organise events, it's like a speakeasy. You can't tell people in advance where you're going, because people will protest it. It's just, England's gonna, I can't, and it's same for America. America's gone, man. Come 2020, I don't see how we're not going to be in a FEMA camp, dude, or beheaded. I think I'm going to get beheaded. You've got it better than me. So it depends what you want. I mean, if you want to go to a FEMA camp and get beheaded.
I think I'd rather, from what I hear, the camps they got the Mexican immigrant children at are like a summer camp. So, so if it's like one of those, it might not be that bad.
And I can't see many people fighting for that's what it's going to be the fight for British. What identity are we fighting with? We're being attacked in all corners. If it's not socialism, it's Islam, which is the same thing, right?
To some extent,
they both want us dead. Socialism.
They both require submission.
I'm underestimating what Owen Benjamin's saying. Socialism is about genocide.
Well, they both require submission. I think that's the underlying, uniting principle. They both require submission. Like the other thing I think about is like there's this guy that calls up the fucking warm line at my job, and it's a mental health line. But this guy, all he talks about is politics and how he longs to live in a socialist utopia and thinks Germany is the greatest place on earth.
It was.
And that's part of it.
Socialist-wise, it was like before the migration. Yeah, it was like you used to get a lot of benefits doing nothing, man.
Yeah. And that's the thing. This guy lives off the system, so I can understand why he might think that. But it's like when you're talking about fairness and inequality and everything like that, one of the questions I always ask people is, well, do you think this is unnatural? Like, do you think life is supposed to be fair? Like, that's like the number one thing I remember from childhood. Life isn't fair. Everything isn't always fair. Things aren't.
You're just talking about that's just too idealistic, Jamie.
But I think human nature is unfair, and that's why I think socialism always falls, because I think it's in conflict with human nature. Things aren't supposed to be fair. So if you try your hardest to make things fair, you obviously have to kill people, because they will bring to light the reality that 5 feet tall Mexicans aren't the best basketball players.
Shall I tell you something that really disturbed me?
Sure.
If you don't want to hear it, and you don't want to hear it, but I'm saying it's bad.
For it.
Right. There's this thing going around. Do you know that Mr. Gunk on YouTube? And there's people doing the Pizzagate stuff like Honeybee and all these YouTubers. I came across this Facebook post. Someone's being harassed on Facebook, and they got sent a Snuff video. And they want to find that it's definitely a Snuff film, like a kid gets beheaded, basically.
Yeah.
It looks like a Helium Grave sort of thing. And they went, oh look, this needs to be reported to the FBI and all this stuff, because this guy's obviously killed a child. We need to identify the child. So I watched the video. Within 2 seconds, I debunked it. And what had happened, not debunked it, but it's got a watermark on the video. And it's from this place called ync.com. So when I went on ync.com, it's a total gore porn site. It's a snuff porn site. There's so much snuff in there. Because I'm with these people, like, even though your research skills are shit, you have found a dead kid. But you think this guy on Facebook that's trolling you killed the kid. That's ridiculous. Like, it's got a watermark on the video. Why have you not typed in that watermark into Google, which is ync.com, and realised that this is like a gore gallery site? It's like a YouTube videos of gore. So I would look in, if you want to find out who this kid is, that's where the video was probably first uploaded. So why don't you go there? Then you're going to have to trawl through all the, like I did it, I spent 2 hours trying to find this kid. Then I came to a conclusion, there's a world out there. I can't describe it to you, but when people talk about Pizzagate, it's worse than you think. All the videos are there. I could see at least. I only trolled through it, and I was like, I didn't want to look at it. I just want to find this kid, get out. So I'm not like clicking videos since I have to. And then there must be, I think in 2 hours I must have found 100 to 200 child snuff films.
That's crazy.
And that's just on Google. That's on Google. And then that's just child snuff. Think how many ISIS videos are actually on there.
Yeah.
Like daily, man. It's type in ync.com and just get an idea. Don't click any videos, but just get an idea of how big this is.
Like child snuff is normal on that site. And then people going, oh, it's all on the dark web. It's on the dark web. It's on the normal web page, dude. I'm absolutely shocked by that. And what I've come to a conclusion is we live in a society now where that's snuff porn. People are masturbating to that.
Yeah.
They're getting aroused of it.
Well, and you know what? To bring it back to bring it back to the original thing we were talking about with Kavanaugh, you know, that's one of the subtexts that gets a lot of these protesters and everything going. Is the biggest activist action of the court that, you know, everyone's all riled up with is the idea of overturning Roe vs. Wade. Killing children is a sacrament to these religious social justice warriors, where it's part of women's empowerment. Like, so it's, you know, there's a devaluation of life that is taken hold in.
I'm convinced there's a satanic group just making snuff films in Venezuela. I can't speak Venezuelan, but a lot of the videos of the snuff, it seems to be Venezuela.
South American, yeah, I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
I mean, because even when you would hear about, you know, large sex trafficking operations
Jamie, I'm
and stuff
telling you,
like
I
that.
just found, if you typed in ync.com into Google.
I haven't, but I could. I'm afraid to, but...
Yeah, you want to be afraid, dude. I'm sorry, but you got to see, I'm speechless. That site is over the top, man. There's just people rape people, kill them, and then just take photos of it afterwards and go, oh, look what I just did. There's like loads of mass murderers and rapists and kid killers, and it seems to be that's the YouTube for them. The dark web is bullshit, mate. So people don't go on there. Are you looking at it?
Yeah.
So I told Honeybee, you're one of the worst researchers I've ever seen. Because I've just found billions of child snuff films, millions of victims, and you think that was a one-off video sent to you by a troll. It took me 2 seconds to find all this. And if you want to find that kid, you've got to troll through that webpage, darling.
Well, you know what this reminds me of? There used to be back when people were kind of circulating, you know, videotapes. There was a videotape series called Faces of Death, and a doctor.
Yeah, but that was made up.
Was it?
Yeah, it's got some news clips, but most of it was fake. Like 90% of it was just staged.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But I mean, either way, it shows that there's a market.
Some of them were pretty shit, though, dude.
It just shows.
Like, some of them were comedy, like when they were eating the monkey brains. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I think my point though still stands that there's a market.
Jamie.
There's a market for gore and just degradation.
That's not gore. There's child snuff galore on that. There's rape. There's actual rape on there. Full-on gang rape. They find a Venezuelan and go and just rape her with HD cameras and slit her throat, behead her. And there's like at least 1,000 of those, at least. And they're all quite recent. Like, and the other thing is people don't mind doing this on camera. Like I only watched 1 or 2, but you realise this isn't a one-off. Like they know what they're doing. They do it. They've got it down to such an art. It sound like a sicko, but I'm not getting the impression that's the first time it's done that. Seems pretty good at it. I'm tempted. Like someone's gonna have to go through. I don't know. How come no one's going through that?
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's like.
I bet you're gonna find a lot of shit trying through that webpage, man. And because people are uploading to that webpage, I think the guy that filmed it did upload it there first. So if you find it on that webpage, you can then download the video, send it to me, or just do your own basic video forensic, because at least you can get a date of that video. You can get some idea of what kind of camera was used, because you can go into the file. Once you got the file,
that was first uploaded. At least we can take that file apart, like digitally. Well, I could do it, and I could tell you, like, I could give you an idea of where it was filmed. That I could give you the exact time and date it was filmed. And at least that gives you a better scope for looking for the child. It gives you an exact day and time.
You're right, a lot of these are from South America, though.
Yeah, exactly. That kid they're talking about, that's a South African kid.
Yeah.
Beheaded. So then I look at this whole Pizzagate crap, and I'm like, dude, you guys are... I'm sorry, but I like the work you're doing. You've definitely nailed it on the head about Trauma Films is Pizzagate. It's a company called Trauma Films, and they seem to be the middle people. That links everybody together to that pizza restaurant, because they provide the entertainment. They do these like kiddie porns kind of stuff. But yeah, once I start, that's why you're seeing this trend now. Like, you've got to admit, Pizzagate's a trend of people that are okay with Snuff. So when we looked at that video of a deep, heavy breathing band, I guarantee you that they're jerking off to that site.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a real thing. I think we really are hitting demonic times.
Yeah.
Like, the end of the end. I think the point is I think that site is so big, it goes to socialism that they do fantasize about killing people. And I don't know, how can I not, what do I do to warn people, man? What the fuck
I don't know.
are we facing?
I don't know, but you're right, it is kind of demonic.
Kind of demonic?
Well.
Dude, it's more demonic beyond my wildest imagination. Like when you were like 15, did you ever think beheading Snuff porn would be a thing on Google? That even Google would exist, that you could watch videos, and then like, how come Google hasn't even attempted to shut that down?
Yeah, you know, they deplatform Alex Jones, but you don't see him coming after shit like this.
Do you think if you clicked that video, you could share it on your Facebook and not get... You'd probably be okay.
Maybe.
That's the point. People, what you said was the whole point. Like Honeybee were going, how come Facebook allows this on Facebook? I'm like, because it's probably flooded with it.
Yeah.
Darling. You got sent one child Snuff film. That sent me to that. Tells me that this is a big thing.
Well, and there are some things too that, you know, they say they allow it to circulate because they that's how they track things and stuff like that. Like ISIS propaganda, they've said that about. So, I mean, this could be another one of those things where, like, the FBI has told Facebook, you better greenlight this because, you know, this is our only way of tracking its movement and stuff.
Well, that's how they distribute child Snuff these days.
Yeah. This is crazy.
But how come there's no committee going through these videos? Like, I would set one up, go through these videos and try and get a picture of what's going on. Because if you look at these pictures individually, you just see a horror scene. But I'm sure when you start seeing it, you're going to start seeing trends. You've got to start documenting the language. You've got to get translators in. Start downloading the original video, pull in the date, assume that the person that uploaded it is the person that did the deed. Work out exact time and date, what camera he used. Then you might find out where he brought the camera. It'll give you a good idea. Because some cameras are only available in like certain countries, for example.
And I know there.
Why is there no committee? There should be a committee straight on that. I bet Madeleine McCann's in there or something. You know what I mean? I bet there's crazy shit in there, dude.
Yeah. I was going to say, I know there also is a way where, like, some cameras, like, even the camera on my phone embeds information in it where it will tell you, like, what type of camera took the pictures.
Yeah, they do that with printouts now. Any printout that comes out has got a digital mark that tells you exactly who bought the printer. Every printout has that. Paper printout.
Yeah.
And that's been like that for centuries, man.
I'm sorry to go down that road, but yeah, it fucked me up a lot. And then this went end up on the Opperman report, right? I ended up emailing that dickhead because he had this guy on there who's working with Mr. Gunk, who's fully sourced, and they're going, Michael Jackson was a pedo, and they went through all this stuff like Chandler, the case that Michael Jackson had, this other kid. And I was like, I don't know whether Michael Jackson raped these kids. The honest answer is I don't know. But for the Opperman report to have this on, it's very biased reporting, because the reason why it's so fascinating is because there's so many ifs and buts with Michael Jackson. You didn't mention any buts at all. And when you don't do that, this story sounded ridiculous. There are so many iffy things with Joey Chandler that you didn't mention.
Yeah, and the thing I've always wondered is, like, you know, if pedophilia is one of the biggest problems in Hollywood, and Corey Feldman, you know, was like friends with Michael Jackson and stuff, it's like, why are they okay calling out him but not everyone else? Like, so it almost, just from that...
Well, the problem with Michael Jackson, the thing, I went on Opperman's webpage, this is what happened, I'll tell you the story, it's a bit boring. But I went on there and I said, Conrad Murray, whether you like it or not, is a reliable source for this. He says that Michael Jackson was castrated, and a lot of people thought that anyway, like chemically castrated.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and that explains why he's a bit, you know, not full of testosterone.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, they've always said that Joe Jackson was giving him hormones because he didn't want his voice to change. He was technically, I mean, like the same way they would a transgender kid nowadays.
A chemical castration.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is I think that's, like, are you not going to mention that? Like, how does someone who's been castrated have sex, let alone rape somebody? I don't know how it works.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing it's difficult. Don't you think you owe it to MJ just to explain that? And also explain that Joey Chandler's dad blew his brains out. Like, where's this in this 2-hour bit? I'm not saying Michael Jackson didn't do iffy shit. He was doing iffy shit. But I don't know whether it's bad judgment or sexual perversion. There is some weirdness to it. And at first I thought he was guilty for 3 years. And I was his biggest fan. And then I changed my mind once everything started coming out a bit more clearer. Now, you could be right. MJ could be a paedophile, and that he made Chandler do it as a decoy to go, oh, look, the allegations are false.
Yeah.
But you're saying that Chandler's genuine. It's like, and I wrote to Opperman going, on the Opperman on YouTube going, what sort of reporting is this? The Opperman's usually really good. Everyone knows about Chandler. Come on, man.
Yeah.
And most of it was about him being kidnapped. It wasn't actually about child molestation. He was apparently kidnapped in Liz Taylor's room, which is an awful place to be kidnapped, isn't it? The Liz Taylor suite. But when she was meant to be kidnapped and locked in the, you know, Michael Jackson's Disney World, she was getting her nails done at Sunset Boulevard on his account. And you're not mentioning any of this in this 2-hour thing. I'm like, I'm sorry, this guy hasn't done his work. And when I click on his YouTube, he's done all his Michael Jackson videos. They've got so many dislikes, it's unbelievable. And then, like, one of them is like, well, LaToya Jackson came out and said Michael Jackson did it. So yeah, that happened, but she also recanted and said that she was forced to do it through violence and abusive relationship. Do I know whether that's true? I don't know. But you've not mentioned it.
Yeah.
You've got to mention both. Yeah, LaToya did say it, but at the same time she also... So I wrote this, I won't go on, so I'm like ranting. He wrote back saying that I must be a paedophile for defending him. It's like, oh, I'm always getting paedophiles trolling me. You're one of those paedophiles that's got an agenda. So I wrote to Opperman going, dude, I've listened to you for years, mate. You need to fucking delete that podcast. Look at how he's talking to me. He's accusing me of being a pedo and the fact that I don't agree with him.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Ridiculous. And I really hate how that you know, I would just, in some of the videos even that I would question some of the Pizzagate stuff with Chester and Podesta and all of that. And again, just minor details, not the overall, you know, issues. People would accuse me of being a pedophile. And I'm like, you guys are trying to say that you really care about these kids and everything like that, but you throw around the serious accusations so loosely that it sort of discredits
it gets
all of
worse.
your...
Mr. Gunk fully sourced. There's this Australian YouTuber who does all this. Steven Spielberg is a pedo. Like every celebrity is a pedo, and he does all the evidence, which isn't really evidence.
Yeah.
It's very circumstantial. I'm sure it's right, but it's very circumstantial. He got busted grooming a child of 15.
I think I saw
He
that.
had his own little internet. Yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
Who was doing the MJ thing with. And I said, instead of accusing Michael Jackson, do you want to explain to me why you're doing a video project with someone that admitted to grooming a child? He admitted to doing it on YouTube. There's YouTube videos you can go and watch him admit on when he gets pulled into that podcast. And it turns out the guy hosting that podcast was also busted child grooming. So you can bust Michael Jackson, who you don't know, you've never met. And you can't bust the guy that does your video editing for you. And then he wrote back going, you don't know Mr. Gunk, you don't know the allegations, I'll make the choices if he's guilty or not. I was like, dude, there's videos of him admitting it. He got busted. And he pleaded for everyone to forgive him because he was depressed. Because he didn't know what he was doing. He didn't deny it at all. He gave a sob story as to why he was grooming a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
And Opperman, I wrote to Opperman going, do you know how much research I put into this guy? This is literally just 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Literally I'm not joking, Jamie, it's a 10-minute check on the guy. I put all this together. 10 minutes. So I wrote to Opperman again, I've been listening to you since I can remember. One of the first podcasts I subscribed to. What are you doing? What are you doing, man? And look at the way he's talking to me on your channel, dude. Why are you letting these insane people on? And then you got Honeybee going, I'm going to donate to the MJ YouTube. It's like, I thought you wanted to be taken seriously. So this whole, it's just, I don't know. I think a lot of people are just trying to make money of child abuse.
I was going to say that, and I think it's, again, one of those situations...
Send me a donation, send me a Patreon, buy a t-shirt as I expose Steven Spielberg and other Hollywood elite. And Cappy, you know Cappy, he used to work for Trauma Films. And Trauma Films is linked to Pizzagate. We were right. Cappy was sent out there to fucking make everything look dumb.
Yeah.
Cappy's in on it. I think he's into this creepy child stuff, dude.
Well, and that's one of the things that, you know, it's sort of like the child abuse thing where it's like you always end up finding child abusers working for like organizations that are there to quote unquote help at-risk kids or whatever, and they just really use it as a way to prey on them. It's kind of like that.
It's disgusting that these lift the dustbin lid channels are just exploiting people trying to sell t-shirts and get more viewers, get more subscribers. And it's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah. But anyway, let's wrap things up. I gotta, yeah, but...
How long was that? 5 hours or something?
I think an hour and a half. But...
alright. Cool, yeah, man.
Alright, well, we'll do it again next week.
Yeah, right.
Alright.
More fun and adventure, yeah. Right.
Alright, take care, man. Alright, later.